They think that I just come in there and look for knockouts, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, what happened? I'm here. Who want to fight with me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. Hope everybody having a good evening out there. You know what I mean? Just trying to stay in the groove, man. I know when I left for a minute. And I was like, man, I'm just going to keep digging this time, man. I might not be doing my videos. I've just been doing lives, but I'm going to get back to my videos, especially when some of the more meaningful fights, come along. But just try to keep the channel going. Cookie Monster. Salute, Cookie Monster. I appreciate you. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Sounding good. I appreciate you. Well, before I get into the housekeeping, man, I was just asking myself a couple questions, man, about boxing and where it's going, and I was trying to figure out, because a lot of people been complaining about the state of boxing. You know, I have my share of gripes. I have my share of complaints, and I was looking at it from the aspect of a content creator. That's one hat, putting my little signature or my fingerprint on the game in some way, having my little touch of influence when I give the pulse of boxing according to my perspective. Then you have me as a fan, just looking at how the sport is going, and that's like reminiscing the conversation that I had, with my father-in-law, and I was telling him, it seemed like about 2 years ago, I was telling him, man, I don't think he really realized what I was trying to tell him. I was like, man, boxing has changed. It's not this mano a mano. It's not like on some Highlander type stuff. If I might be dating myself by telling y'all about Highlander, but it's not on some Highlander stuff where, like, if y'all was in each other's presence, it can only be one. It's not like that anymore. It's more of a business. It's entertainment. It's, just like in basketball when they start doing load management, where people will voluntarily opt in to sit out games to be fresh later on in the season. Some people say that's ingenuity and progression. Some people will say you a pansy. You know what I'm saying? Back when people used to play basketball and run up and down them courts in Converse. No shock absorbing soles, no ankle protection, no none of that. Boxing has evolved, and I think that's just looking at the perspective of it, from, like I said, from content creator, then my fan hat, and then I also looked at it from the perspective of the media. And I was wondering, I was asking myself, I was like, man, Mike, how much is the media responsible for the state of boxing? That's a good question. Like, ask yourself, man, how how much do we hold the media? And AJ, yesterday I was, listening to the playback, because I always critique the show and take the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I try to evolve, you know what I'm saying, and pick up on it. But AJ said, man, when it comes down to media and the coverage on boxing, he said it sucks. And I was just like, wow. And maybe that's because boxing is like the wild, wild west. There is no entity that can kind of control it. I mean, you got somebody like the Zuffa stuff getting ready to pop off, and that's gonna be a fiasco. I'm not sure, because I mean, it's a mano a mano sport where it's only one person responsible, much like tennis. But it's no other sport that's really like it, for real. I mean, combat sports, some of them are similar. The MMA and UFC and all that is similar, but there's no real sport like boxing. So I guess the media coverage wouldn't really be like those other ones, to where, one, you will have so many more people to defend. You say something wrong about a basketball team or a football team, salute, boom. You say something wrong about a basketball team or a football team, first of all, it's 53 players on the team. You know what I'm saying? Then you got to deal with the staff. You got to deal with the whole state. You got to deal with, you say something bad about a college team. But it's different because it's one boxer. And if that boxer don't have the right media to protect them, or they don't have minions out there to do their biddings and, their dirty work out and about, then they can get slandered every day, all day. Right? But the coverage around it, I'm like, and because it's so narrative driven, because until you actually see what happens in the ring, all you have to go by is the conversation around the sport. So we spend a lot more time talking about the sport and debating about it, and then we can get a fight like what we had a couple weeks ago, where in a minute and 50 something seconds the fight was over. But we did all that talking, and for weeks we spend 2 or 3 hours talking ad nauseum about the possibilities and why we got this and why this person won't do that and why. But I'll be thinking about the power that the media has on our sport. And I was like, I think that question that AJ asked, Aaron Jones asked, was a very powerful question, man. How much can we hold the media responsible for the state of our sport? Because a lot of people, when it comes to our greats, when it comes to the people that go above and beyond and have these feats, it really depends, because you could be somebody like Errol Spence, who went out and collected 3 belts and who was the man. And because he was affiliated with a certain organization, the powers that be painted him in a certain light. And because, he wasn't that vocal. I mean, he was personable, but he had his own little style. The media didn't really paint him like that. Then you have somebody like who might have came along and beat him like in a bud, who you could say was like a late bloomer, kind of came around a little bit late to where the world kind of knew. I mean, everybody saw the talent and all that, but like the kind of coverage in the media and him being willing to do interviews and all that could have impacted it. But like, it's a back end heavy like exposure. So now it's like, boom, it's like this explosion of people that want to talk and speak and do all these things. But like at this stage in the game and where he at in his career, it's like throughout the career of both of those gentlemen, when you look at them, how much can we blame the media? Because neither one of them get what I think they should get. But when it came down to another gentleman, like, you could say, quote unquote, the face of boxing and Canelo Alvarez, all the media, all the publicity, whether you speak English or not, it was going to be polite and respectful and not paint them in these lights. And if you had any cojones, you would get out there and tell the truth. Like myself, when I said he didn't have a cherry vineyard, he had a grape vineyard, but it wouldn't age like fine wine. I got a whole playlist that I have dedicated to stuff like that. I call it the age well games. Some people wind up flipping the tides and wind up the stuff that they did wind up aging very well, unpredictably. But the majority of them did exactly what I thought. You know what I'm saying? It didn't age like fine wine. But I'm gonna ask y'all, man. So consider this when you hear your favorite people in the media and people who don't claim to be media, and when people talk about these things and people who, you know, have an online presence on YouTube. Listen to how they talk. Watch how they flip flop. You know what I'm saying? Hold them accountable. Hold their feet to the fire. Don't let them hindsight is 2020 you. Oh no, because that's like the game right now. They'll say something. They'll be real bold and staunch in their views. And I'm not talking about just predicting fights, you know, and rooting for favorites. I'm just talking about like the flip-flopping. You know, like the stuff that Tim Bradley's doing right now, where one day he'll come out and, oh man, I see the Normans is they you know this. The next day, oh man, the Haney's. It's like, man, come on, man. How much? So when you got people that's going to respect you because of your position, but then you flip-flopping like most of these people on YouTube, how much do we hold them responsible for? Because the casuals, again, I tell you, all they have to go by, all we have in the sport of boxing to go by is the time that they be in the ring, which is the span of a fight, which could be 36 minutes or it could be 19 seconds. The rest of the time, it's how we talk about the sport. So again, the last time I'm gonna ask is, how much do we have to hold the media responsible for the state of boxing? That's just food for thought, man. I thought that was interesting. Anyway, man, I got you, Boom. But that's just something that's been on my mind, man. And I'm definitely not, you know, I'm not worried about the media from the way that I like my contributions. I know I say I'm gonna do the dirty work. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna pick up the shovel. I'm gonna dig deep. I'm gonna grab the rebound. I'm gonna take out the trash. I'm gonna clean the gutters. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna set the mouse traps. You know, bring out the boric acid, whatever we need to clean up and sanitize it. I'll be your huckleberry, man. That's what this channel for. We put stakes on the ground for the people who may not be getting the attention. You know, because in this sport, I see a lot of people like the bandwagon. It's a lot of people, man. This is the last example before I get into the housekeeping. It's a lot of people that are just like, remember when the Seattle Seahawks got Pete Carroll as their coach, and then they had 12, which was their fans. Like there was like a different element to actually playing up there, like a whole different element that you had to face. They had the Legion of Boom, which was that defense. They had Russell Wilson. They had Marshawn Lynch. You know what I'm saying? They had a squad. They had one of the best defensive, aside from the Ravens, you know what I'm saying? I would say, man, that they had the Legion of Boom. Oh my goodness. With Chandler, and they had two corners. They had Maxwell. Before they actually got Pete Carroll and he turned that program around, I'm talking about you could not find one Seattle Seahawks fan around. When Pete Carroll came and he changed that program around and they got them colors, that bluish colors, like a navy blue with that neon green, and they started winning, and they had that defense, and they was exciting to watch because you didn't know what Russell Wilson was going to do. You didn't know what Beast Mode was going to do. You know, Pete Carroll and his, you know, animated self and his culture of winning that he brought from the Trojans. All these fans popped out of nowhere. And so right now we at a time where if you winning, people are going to talk about you in favor, or if you look like your stock is going to get up, or if you look like the next best thing, people are going to hitch their wagons, you know what I'm saying, to you. So I'm noticing that we got a lot of people that's going to speak about a lot of people, and they're going to bandwagon, you know what I'm saying. You got a lot of people that act like they really Tank fans. They really not. They just riding the wave, you know what I'm saying. They in disguise. It's just an example. But if you look like you winning, or if you look like you have an upward trajectory, they're going to jump on. You know, that's just food for thought, man. Just food for thought. But anyways, I'm gonna get into this I'm gonna get into this housekeeping. All right, housekeeping number one. Anthony Yard believes that if he touches David Benavidez, he can end the show. You know, I mean, we haven't talked about that fight yet. You know what I'm saying? We haven't really started cranking it up. I know that's, you know, I know AC, you know, he like Anthony Yard. That's one of his guys. We know what the Mexican Monster is. Like I already said, man, I'm done betting against the Mexican Monster, man. The man done proved me wrong. And it's just, you know, it's always wild because when it comes down to somebody like David Benavidez, I'll say I'll never bet against him, but then he get in matches to where it's like, oh, that guy could do it, but it's like he got me to the point where I'm not going to really put no money unless I look at some odds and it's like, well, if he was able to do this and them odds are just too good to pass, because that's what I do a lot of the time when it come down to sprinkling a little cheese. I play the odds. It's not really who I think will win. It's just playing the odds to where it's like, if this happened, then I can gain this. That's how I've been betting. But like straight up outright betting against David Benavidez, nah, I wouldn't do it. But it was interesting, and so I'm gonna touch on this. I'm gonna touch on this this little piece and touch on, you know, everything from, you know, what Anthony Yard said in this build up, because this is going down on the Night of Champions, and this was in the Ring magazine. Anthony Yard: if I hit David Benavidez clean, the fight is done. Anthony Yard is sure he hurt Artur Beterbiev and Sergey Kovalev in his first two light heavyweight title fights. If the heavy-handed London native connects correctly when he encounters David Benavidez next month, he is convinced he'll finish off the unbeaten WBC lightweight heavyweight champion. Yard understands that there won't be anything easy about battling Benavidez, but he is very confident he'll leave the ring November 22nd as a world champ. Yikes. Yard offered his perspective during the newest episode of Inside the Ring, which premiered on DAZN on Monday. These kind of things excite me for some reason, Yard told co-host Max Kellerman and Mike Coppinger. I don't know why. Don't ask me why, but this is why I got into the sport, to be in big fights. Be in fights that, you know, people are talking about, entertaining fights. And for me, it's like, you know, we can both hit. I just feel like if I land on Benavidez, the fight is done. Especially with the way I've been training. I'm sure he's been training ferociously as well, because he's going to want to make a statement. But I just know if I land against any light heavyweight on the planet, I'm going to win the fight. So that's what's exciting for me. Phoenix's Benavidez is 30-0 with 24 knockouts and is a 10-1 favorite over Yard, who is 27-3 with 24 knockouts. They both got 24 knockouts. That's interesting. 24, you know what I'm saying? Who would be 25? Like, will it be a 25? That's wild. 30-0 with 24 KOs, Benavidez. 27-3 with 24 KOs in Anthony Yard. The English challenger, who was stopped by Beterbiev and Kovalev, hasn't taken offense to odds. DraftKings and other sports books list on the main event of the Ring or Night of Champions card at A&B Arena in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. One thing about me as well, Yard added, I'm like, I know some people try to sell themselves or say I'm the best or whatever, and I feel like in boxing, you've just got to prove it. You know, I'm an underdog for a reason in this fight. That's what is going to make me thrive in this fight. I feel like in boxing, you've got to earn your place as well. So if I'm going to be world champion, I want it to be fights like this, you know. Again, a real solid champion. There's something within me that feels this was the fight that was put on my plate for a reason. So Benavidez 28, Yard 34 will be streamed by DAZN pay-per-view, as we all know, in the United States for $59.99 and in the UK for $24.99. And that was by Keith Idec, to give all credit where credit is due. All right. All right, let me do it. I'll drop the link. I'll drop the link. Just give me 1 second. The second one, Bakram's plight. Listen, y'all, Bakram, man, it's getting wild, man, because it's getting wild, and it's crazy because it's always somebody with the IBF. Earl Spence went through it when he had that IBF, or even before he even got the shot, he went through it with the IBF. Boots had that IBF. Bakram can't get a fight. Now Richardson Hitchens got the IBF, and it's hard for him to get a fight. But let me go over this thing real quick, because I touched bases on it on yesterday's live, and I was, speaking to, I gave a snippet to clarify what happens when somebody submits themselves where it's ordered, and it actually goes to the purse bid. Like, I actually confirmed it, because this is going to happen over and over again. And if you can be tricked by one of these like dumbass content creators that want to argue and throw you around and see where you land like a rock, like Bob Arum said, like, if you don't know these things. So this is why I go over these things. Well, what happened is, man, this man been saying that nobody basically standing on business. Everybody mentions me after their fights, but when it comes to business, they all disappear. And they use this man Bakram's name because it makes it seem like you instantly get brownie points with everybody. You say, yeah, I want to fight Bakram, and I got to go over this real quick. Let me go over this real quick so I can break it down and tell y'all exactly what's going on, man. Bakram Murtazaliev, Josh Kelly purse bid hearing postponed. So we know on Tuesday it was supposed to go down, right? But it got postponed. An order fight that has gained little traction in the past 2 months has been granted an additional 1 week delay. Boxing Scene has confirmed that Tuesday's scheduled Bakram Murtazaliev Josh Kelly IBF 154-pound title fight purse bid was postponed. The hearing was due to take place on Tuesday, but it's now pushed back to October the 28th, following a mutual agreement between all involved parties. A deal can still be reached in that time, though not much progress has been made since the fight was ordered on August the 19th. Bakram, 23-0 with 17 knockouts, is promoted by Main Events and managed by Igor Klimas. Kelly, 17-1-1 with 9 knockouts, is with Wasserman Boxing and managed by Adam Booth. It remains to be seen what progress can be made with another 7 days, though Main Events is eager to secure a financier for its long remaining titleist. Bakram won the title in April 2024 knockout win over Jack Colclay on the road of Falkensee, Germany. Just one win has followed, a career best third round wipeout of former WBO 154-pound title holder Tim Tszyu last October 19th in Orlando, Florida. The frustration in returning to the ring during that time mirrored Bakram's path to the title. He was the mandatory challenger for more than 4 years, but settled for a series of step-aside packages while Premier Boxing champions who controlled all of the 154 titles at the time sought to crown an undisputed champion. That vision came to fruition when Jermell Charlo stopped Brian Castano in the 10th round of their May 2022 rematch in Carson, California. The two previously fought to a draw in July 2021 atop one of 4 PBC shows where Vergil'S was granted a non-televised undercard. So he had been fighting on them undercards all that time. The IBF finally intervened in October 23 and ordered Charlo Vergil'S. 2 weeks after Charlo lost a lopsided decision to then undisputed 168-pound champion Saul Canelo Alvarez, the matter went to a scheduled purse bid hearing only for Charlo to bail and vacate his IBF title. Yikes! Charlo has not fought since then, nor had he ever defended his undisputed championship. I don't like that at all. The ordeal speaks to Bakram's career-long frustration in lining up the best that the 154 division has to offer. His year-long ring absence included failed negotiations with Erickson Lubin, his previous mandatory challenger. Lubin waited until the day of their scheduled August 10th purse bid to inform all parties that he planned to instead face WBC interim 154-pound titleist Vergil Ortiz. The two are scheduled to clash on November 8th in Fort Worth, Texas. Kelly was then summoned to next face Bakram as the next highest rated available contender, though still not the true IBF #1 challenger. Now that has some significance. Listen to this, y'all. Because you learn something on this channel. You're going to learn. The distinction is a key difference in the Brits' entitled compensation in the event. A promoter secures rights through the purse bid process. The split is 65-35 when between a reigning titleist and a #1 ranked mandatory challenger. So if it was somebody in that #1 spot, the split would be 65-35. When there's nobody in that #1 spot, it widens to 85-15 when the challenger is rated #3 or lower. So if you're not ranked as high as #1, then you're subject to an 85-15 if you're like ranked #3 or lower. So that might explain some of the reasons why, you know what I'm saying, some stuff ain't going on. But either way, you got to have money behind the fight. Kelly, 17-1-1, 9 KOs. A 2012 Olympian for Great Britain, is currently rated #3 at 154 pounds by the IBF. So maybe it might not be enough money, because that is high risk, very low reward. You getting 15% or whatever the bag is. Man, you might have to go stand in another line, but that might explain something. The 31-year-old Sunderland native has won 7 in a row since a February 2021 knockout loss to David Avanesian, his long career defeat. His current career resurrection coincided with his multi-fight deal with Wasserman in 2023. In his most recent start, Kelly halted Romania's Flavius Bia in just over 2 minutes on June 6th in Newcastle. Now, this is what I was trying to tell y'all the other day about the stake in the ground that I've been putting as far as how this IBF work. This is why I say you got a whole lot of full-time, part-time, thorough-ass niggas online when they go over this. Per IBF rules covering purse bids, both boxers are required to move forward with the fight. So under the IBF, once it goes to purse bid, both are required to move forward. So if it's ordered and it goes to purse bid, both fighters are required to move forward in the IBF. Kelly will be subject to a demotion outside of the IBF top 10 and ineligible to fight in any IBF sanctioned bout for at least 6 months. Similarly, Bakram will be subject to having his title stripped should he fail to move forward with the ordered fight. And that's by Jake Donovan. But that lets you know that when it's ordered, right, and then you don't pay that, you don't talk to them people, and you put in for that extension, if as the challenger, if you don't move forward, you can be ineligible to fight in that line again for 6 months, right? And the title holder will lose his strap. So that's what happened to Charlo. So lo and behold, man, my man Charlo bailed out on him. That's not a good look, and that's one of my guys. See, that's why I say I keep it 100. As much as I like Jermell Charlo, that's not a good look. It's not a good look at all. Okay. All right, we almost done. Let me just get through this one last part, y'all. But that's Bachman's plight. It's one more week, so it's been postponed to the 28th, right? It's been postponed to the 28th, so we got through that, right? Here's the last part. It's the last part of the housekeeping, right? The question is, so we can cook, because I like everything to be here. So when we cook on everything. Could this be the year of the upset? And what do you mean, Mike? If you listen, I'm gonna tell you, right? Listen. When we think about it, Arnold Barbosa, he defeated Jack Catterall. That's a small one. But most people thought Jack Catterall was gonna beat Arnold Barbosa, right? And that was back in February, right? In April, Tank fought Lamont to a draw. Now, some people say Lamont won, but nobody saw Tank getting a draw. So it's not an upset, but it was something that wasn't like quite the norm. I mean, there's some people that came up big betting a draw, right? They won a lot of bread, right? Bragging about it and all, but nobody saw that coming. You got to think. Prior to Lamont Roach, only 2 people in 30 fights had ever survived to hear the final bell, and one of them was like a 6-rounder. Go figure. The other one was Isaac the Pinata Cruz. I mean Pitbull Cruz. On May the 3rd, Rolly Romero beat Ryan Garcia. Now, a lot of people were saying, some people I know, it's one dude online, he be talking that boxing shit, man. All his takes I appreciate, but he had been saying Rolly was going to do this. He had predicted that Rolly was going to do that to Ryan. Nobody else I knew, including myself, thought that Rolly was going to do that to Ryan. I'm going to be honest. I had Ryan, beating the shit out of Rolly. I didn't think that was going to happen, but there was some people that had Rolly, but the majority of the people did not see Rolly upsetting the apple cart. And see, when Rolly did that to Ryan, that put everything into tizzy, because that knocked Devin's plans off, which knocks T.O.'s plans off, which knocks Boots' plans off. Like, it was like a trickle down effect. It was a domino effect if you think about that Rolly. So Rolly, when you talk about upsetting the apple cart, Rolly really did that. Now, a guy named Echo Usman, he beat Josh Taylor. A lot of people be like, oh, so what? That's across the pond. But really, in all essence, nobody really thought that a guy that nobody really knew, Echo Usman, really, they really didn't know. But Echo Usman beat Josh Taylor. And now a lot of people say Josh Taylor hasn't been the same. He hasn't been the same since the first Jack Catterall. When he actually he got the nod over Jack Catterall, but a lot of people, like myself, thought that Jack Catterall actually beat Josh Taylor. And then he went on to officially lose to Teofimo Lopez, and that's how Teofimo Lopez got that lineal. He got that WBO, right? Another one. Back in May, Armando Resendiz gave us a new term. When I say give me a thorough beatdown, no knockdowns, that's an Armando Resendiz, just a thorough beatdown. You know what I'm saying? And that was a split decision, even though that should have been unanimous. He beat up Caleb Plant, and guess what? He upset the apple cart. Why? Because everybody was getting ahead of themselves, wanting to see Caleb Plant fight Jamal Charlo, coming off his hiatus. And that's the same day when Jamal Charlo, toyed around with Cornflake and then got him up out of there. He got his rounds, then got his ass up out of there. So that was an upset. Then you had Nair Albright beating Kelvin Davis, and that was in June. UD dropped him and everything, and that was the night when Keyshawn pretty much he had a meltdown, But I say all of that to say, man. Oh, I can't forget. Terrence Bud Crawford beat Canelo. Now, a lot of people say, hey, skill for skill and who you had, whatever, but the majority of the people did not see Bud beating Canelo. They did not see Bud jumping up there, especially doing it in unanimous and doing it in the manner in which he did it. So that was by all means an upset. That was just recently in September the 13th. Now, we got the Anthony Yarde, who I talked about, along with David Benavidez. Yarde thinking that if he touched David Benavidez, he can get the job done. We also have we also have Devin Haney taking on the champ. Now I don't know. I would love to see who's gonna be the odds-on favorite when that fight happens. But a lot of people are looking at it like if Devin Haney is to actually win this fight, that would be an upset. Wow, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the way everybody talking, and a lot of people be, talking about it. Tim Bradley be flip-flopping about it. But it brings me to the subject of the hour tonight. With everybody talking about Erickson Lubin, or shall I say not talking about Erickson Lubin, and acting like Vergil Ortiz is just gonna go ahead and get Boots. It's like everybody's saying, "Oh man, Boots versus Vergil," and I've been keeping my eyes on Lubin, man, because Lubin, he's not in my intro or nothing, but Lubin is one of my guys. I gotta revamp my intro. Lubin is one of my guys. I think that he's a blue collar worker. Consummate professional. He's been through the ringer. Tried and proven, and I've been looking at what he's been saying in these interviews, and he feels highly disrespected, man. He feels like it's disgusting the way people are overlooking at him. They had him like a little small dude with Vergil Ortiz hovering over him in the promotions. He's basically saying, man, like he got a surprise. He's basically looking at it like he's gonna be the banana peel to the fight because everybody's acting like Jerron Boots Ennis and Vergil Ortiz getting it on as a foregone conclusion. And that's it, y'all. Like, we can cook, man. I just wanted to put everything out there. But the question is this the year to upset? Can Erickson Lubin upset the apple cart with Vergil Ortiz? Is he being overlooked? Can he be added to this list to where he can knock off everybody's plans? Because it's almost like they assuming that Boots and Vergil is next. And I'm like, hey, man, you got a guy in Lubin, a rough record customer, standing right there. What y'all think about that?
Yeah, it'd be that type of Lubin is that type of guy that is well suited for those shoes and that jacket because he's the one people sleep on. It could be that, it could be that whole Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson thing, to whereas if Mike would have got past Buster, it was stated in the boxing magazines that he was supposed to face Evander Holyfield next. So when you do stuff like that, the outcomes, in my opinion, gets a little crazy. But I wanted to speak on something that you brought up according to the rules of the IBF, and that was basically the where they was talking about if you pull out the fight and yada yada yada, and if there's no 1, 2, or 3 position, how the purse split actually increases. And if a person looked at it from a different angle, took 2 steps to the left and said, you know what, this dude Lubin just F over Bakram, because when you left that fight, it left the number 1 position vacant. So now that's going to keep increasing the purse split, and it makes it harder for dudes to want to fight you, because they're going to make next to nothing, and there's a good chance they may get beat the fuck up. So that's probably a whole nother live, the shenanigans of Lubin, but at the end of the day,
no, that's a good point. That's a good point, but I'm gonna address that. But let's let Boom ask his question. What's the question, Boom? What's going on?
So
man?
What's up with y'all? What's up, AC? What's up, Body?
What's going on, bro?
Hey man, salute Bodywork, salute. Hey y'all, my big question for y'all is, so I'll be in like the boxing communities and Twitter and stuff like that, like the Twitter streets and all that. So do these streets be telling the truth? Because today I heard that they said Bakram strictly said he either wanted to face his was either a mandatory, the 1, 2, or 3 guy in the positioning, or he said he only wanted a champion. Is that actually true? That's what Bakram has said?
That's what he been wanting, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, I didn't know. I thought that he only wanted I thought that the IBF Like I thought they was strict, so I thought they was only making him defend. I didn't know that he actually did ask for a champion. I thought that that was cap. Okay.
Yeah, when all of that news came out about what Pop was cooking on the musical chairs and stuff like that,
and he did come out and say, because he
made a statement saying that, you know, all of these dudes is saying stuff, but you know, and they saying they want to fight, but nobody's sitting on business to actually let the fight go through. Or it was to the effect they all call out my name, but none of them want to go through with the fight or something like that. Okay,
because the Twitter streets also said that Bakram was mad that they was out here saying that Boots was gonna fight Xander Zayas in New York or something like that, and I didn't know if that was true either, because I thought that Boots was gonna be fighting for that WBA strap, no cap. So
I don't know about that one.
Okay. I don't know either. That's why I'm coming to ask y'all, man. Those are my two big questions, man. Is so Boots and Xander was is making a fight or something like that? Because he said something. They said that he said something about it on Ariel Helwani show or some podcast.
That was crazy.
Yeah,
I'm not really.
I gotta go back and look. But I don't believe it.
Go ahead, buddy. Sorry.
I don't be believing in it. I mean, for one, whenever you're dealing with right now, we don't know what's going on with Top Rank and how they're going to move Xander. Supposedly, they might have worked out something with some kind of network deal. I know they still been signing fighters, but when it comes to them Top Rank guys and them Golden Boy guys, like I just, you know, I gotta wait. Like if somebody says something in an interview, I'm past the whole just because somebody said it online. That's flimsy. You know what I'm saying? Like how many times a broad say she want to smash and it's like she was like, nah, man, come on. I mean, you got to show me. I'm from Missouri when it comes to that. I'm from the show me state when it comes down to that, man. I'm tired of these people getting out online and just saying something, because the proof is in the pudding. You know, but to dive deep on the background situation, it is kind of crazy.
I need to know. I want to know what's up with that, because I'm really confused on that. I thought that backroom was just strictly waiting on a fight, period. I didn't know he actually asked for a champion. I'm dead ass. So,
no, he called out all of them. He wanted all of them. He wanted Fedor. Only one that I didn't have none on was Echo. Well, I mean, not Echo. Abu. Abbas Abu. That's the only one, because he had just got that from Yoenis Tellers. He just got there, but he said him and Fondor was going at it. Like he been waiting on that. You know what I'm saying? He gave respect to Zayas. He said now Zayas is actually taking on the bigger fights. I would love that opportunity. I think that'll be a good match.
Yeah. Hey, I heard, I seen that on Twitter that they said that Bakram was real respectful about Xander and what he did, and I thought that was crazy.
Because he just now getting to the party. See, you got to think. I just gave out the history and just read that for 4 years. Like when Jamel was on that run, he was on them undercard. So he was on them undercards taking step aside. They said that man had got so much step aside money during them times because Jamel was on that run to consolidate them all. That's why I gotta put the blame where it's due, man. That's not a good look. Even though Jamel, one of my favorite guys, that's not a good look. Because I didn't know that after that fight with Canelo, that it was a period of time when they were supposed to get it on. Like him and Bakram was supposed to get it on, and then Jamel Charlo just bounced on him. So that's why he just gave up the belt. He just gave the strap. So I'm like, in a way.
But see, when I read that shit about Charlo on the Twitter streets, I thought that shit was a lie. I didn't even think him and Bakram had nothing set up. Niggas was out there posting that they did. Niggas was arguing and debating about how Charlo was supposed to fight Bakram before calling out Crawford, this, that, and the third. They said, remember when you supposed to fight Bakram after losing to Nello? And now that you saying that, that's crazy, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, he was. So now we know that. And so now it's a history to where it's like, it's really looking like the man got the plague, man. But really part of it, because a part of it now, we're going to put on all hats. Because the fan in us, we don't care about none of that. We just want to see the fight. That's the fan. The ones that actually understand and digest the business aspect of it got to say, look, okay, it's a reason. Because if you're number one, the split is 65-30. If you number one or I think it's number one or number two, it's 65-35. If you're third or lower, that shit go down to 85-15. And ain't nobody, especially when you ain't got a major player with a whole bunch of money behind you, ain't nobody getting in that line for that high risk and that very low. Now that's the definition, that's the ultimate definition of very high risk and very low reward. Ain't nobody getting in there for 15% of the pie. And out of that, you got to pay whoever you got to pay, like your training and all that shit got to come out of 15%. So out of $1 million, that's 150 grand. Then you got to pay, like, nah, ain't nobody doing that. So that kind of paints light, that kind of sheds light to it, you know what I'm saying? Then if it's taking so long, people like, look, if it's going to take so long, I'm not going to wait and then get a shitty ass piece of the pie. You know what I'm saying? Now, like whoever's in number one, they getting 35. But once you get down to once it's 3 or low and the top 2 spots are vacant, so everybody looking at 15%, ain't nobody going to take that for background. So he's in a kind of bad position. They're going to force that man. They're going to force that man to, I think they're going to force that man to vacate that belt, or they're going to have to work out some kind of agreement. Now, if he has smart promotion, they'll work out some kind of agreement. You know, they'll come up with some money and they'll negotiate. You know what I'm saying? They'll negotiate something. But they got another week, so hopefully they get something going on. But that's what's going on with that IBF strap.
Man, that is crazy, bro. I thought it was cool money to have that strap, man. I didn't know that they was that strict either, because niggas be saying that they super strict, and that's why fighters tend to go get other belts first before that one. Yeah,
but the thing is, it is the truth teller though, because it's not just the 10-pound rehydration; it's a percentage. It's a percentage that you got to weigh. So, like at the lower weight classes, it's like 10 pounds. You can't go high, like so. At 147, you can't be more than 157 at welterweight. But then at super welterweight, which is junior middleweight, you go in at 154. You can't be more than 165. And as it goes up, it's a little more wiggle room, more than 10 pounds, but because it's a percentage base. But it is a true certain to where you ain't gonna have to worry about fighting nobody that don't belong in that weight class, because if you can't, you know what I'm saying, if you can't handle it, it's gonna show. That's why Richardson Hitchens, that's why I always looked at the performance of Richardson Hitchens versus Gustavo Lemos, because that was for an eliminator for the IBF and how he performed. And then you look at Gustavo Lemos versus Keyshawn when he moved down. That's why that fight looked like that, because Richardson Hitchens was at 140 under that 10-pound rehydration when he fought Gustavo Lemos at 140. And Gustavo Lemos was a tweener. Now, Gustavo Lemos was in the best shape of his life. He pushed Richardson Hitchens to the limit, but then when he dropped down, he blew weight, and Keyshawn blew him out the water. 35, like going down to 35, going down to lightweight. That's why that looked different. So that's why I always put respect on people's name when they got that IBF, because it's different. Not even just in title fights, but in the eliminators too. Because if you stand in that line for an eliminator, you're subject to that same thing, where you're not going to be able to rehydrate more than the 10 pounds or the 11 pounds or whatever it is as you move up in weight. So those are little things, but I wanted to talk about this. How do you see this fight, y'all? Because I got some nuggets and some points for this, man. But how do you see this fight going?
Man, can I cook the potato? Bet I can cook the potatoes. All right, look, man. This Erickson Lubin fight, I really think that Lubin, like, it's a 60-40 to me, and I can't decide whether I want to go with Lubin or Vergil. But to be honest, if I was to be on somebody's side, I will go with Erickson, man. I want to see the black man. You feel me? That's honestly just my opinion. I do like Lubin. He's been in the fire. He's been in a few fights. Fundora, Charlo. You know what I mean? Now fighting Vergil. He did go get that win on Pro Box. I did go and watch that live. So not like in person, but like I watched it on, YouTube live. So I don't know, man. I think I want to say Lubin, but if Vergil do it, I won't be surprised. you know.
Let me go.
Yeah.
Let me add some things. Let's add some things to the equation so you'll be more equipped to make your decision. Now, not that none of this matter because they still got to get in there and fight. But Erickson Lubin is 5'11". Vergil Ortiz is 5'10", so they got him by 1 inch height. Erickson Lubin got a 74-inch arm reach, and Vergil Ortiz has a 70-inch arm reach, so he got him with 4.5. He got a 4.5-inch arm reach. Lubin is a southpaw. Vergil is an orthodox. Vergil Ortiz, I counted 3 southpaws in his entire pro career. Now I know he faced Frank the Ghost Martin. He lost to Frank the Ghost Martin in the amateurs, but that's the amateurs. But I know in the pros, I've counted 3 southpaws. The last one was Mike McKinson, a southpaw, not really known for much power, but that was like back in 2022 when he was at welterweight. You know what I'm saying? Erickson Lubin has went through the fire. He faced Jesus Ramos.
That's who else he faced too. Yeah,
and that was before he faced that guy Ardrell Holmes, who he had that amateur. He had a little amateur smoke with. You know, back in the day, they had a little beef, so he was wound up selling it. He is notorious for the infamous Jermell Charlo. You know what I'm saying? Doing what he did to him all that time ago, back when he was 22 years old. Well, he's 32 years old now, so that was 10 years ago. And since then, he has went through the ringer. Now, a lot of people say that the fight with Jesus Ramos could have went either way. I mean, I had Lubin on my scorecard. I actually judged that fight. I had Lubin edging it out, and I like Jesus Ramos. I wish he would have stayed at 54 because I heard he was at 60. Because I thought he would have been a good test for Boots, but I'm not gonna get off into that. But that performance was one that people questioned Lubin about, and they like, shit, he got the nod. But also, Vergil got a gift decision. I know when me and AC eyes, we both had Boy Chuck giving Vergil, you know, all that he wanted. You know what I'm saying? Dropped him twice. Pretty much he won it. He won it kind of like with a nice little margin, in my opinion. But Vergil wound up getting the nod. So that both of those wins, one that
Chuck did drop Vergil, right?
Twice.
Yeah, man, that shit, man. I don't want to talk about it. Just let's go. Because Vergil should have lost that, man. That shit.
Yeah, that's how basically we had it. Go ahead and finish your point so I could give you my assessment.
But what I was gonna say, I was just gonna say that I try to look at like who has the better feet, who has the better defense, who has the better offense, who's the better better body puncher, who has the better IQ, and that's how I kind of judge, you know, all those things. So consider that when you do your analysis. But go ahead, y'all.
Yeah. So basically, I was gonna say it like this. For me, I'm leaning more towards Lubin. If I looked at this matchup stylistically and things like that, this should be a good fight for Lubin to show off his boxing. The pressure fits right into Lubin's counterpunch ability and his footwork and his ability to throw those angles. I think a lot of people sleep on Lubin's power, his ability to have, you know, honest power that if you sleep on him, he will put you on your pockets. And if he could just hurt you, he could probably get the TKO stoppage on you. So when I overall assess it up, Lubin is the type of fighter, to me, that is made to expose a person like Vergil Ortiz, Sebastian Fundora, and Xander Zayas. I don't think either one of those guys could actually beat Lubin, but we'll see where he is right now. And plus, he has experience, you know, fighting a taller fighter. And at the end of the day, the numbers right now at height, reach, and experience-wise and things like that, it doesn't, in my eyes, it doesn't favor Virgil.
Now, what I was, or did you want to go, buddy?
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, look though, if he does upset Virgil, I do think that he deserves the right to fight Xander Zayas right away. And then, if he beats Xander, it's not going to be a shock either, you know. But man, this is just, now that I'm looking at it, like now that I'm listening to what y'all saying, and now that I'm seeing it, how like the Twitter streets is saying it too, like, damn, Lubin might have a shot, you know.
But let me. I got a couple more things. So we gonna. This is a build though. I got a couple more things to sprinkle into this. Now, Lubin already faced Fundora, right? He's already faced Fundora. His fatal, he dropped Fundora. He hit Fundora and made Fundora take a knee to gather himself. After that, Fundora, it was almost like he got his wake up call the same way he got a wake up call with the Tim Tszyu fight. He gathered himself, and Lubin found himself standing in front of Fundora too much, and he was subject to the uppercut. Like there's the one fight where I seen Fundora hit Lubin with about 17 uppercuts unanswered. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like brutal. And so that's when he went back to the corner and he was looking like the Elephant Man. And Coach Kevin Cunningham was like, nah, man, fuck that shit. It's over, man. He was like, nah, I'm not gonna let you go back out there. And that's how that fight ended. But Lubin was in that fight. Like it was just like the way he looked and how his face was swollen. They was concerned for his health. So that's why Cunningham stopped it. And so Fundora actually got the nod because of that. So part of his motivation is that this fight is the WBC eliminator, which will put him back in line to fight Fundora, because we see who got the WBC, Fundora. You know, he also is motivated because if he's able to get back and get that title, he wants his get back with Jermell Charlo from 10 years ago. So he still want to avenge that loss, right? And I think part of the biggest thing is that he's had to fight. He's fought 7 undefeated fighters. This will be his 3rd undefeated guy in a row. He's fought 7 fighters with just 1 loss, right? And he has had to fight like the who's who at 154. You gotta think, when he came on the scene, he was knocking everybody out. He was the hammer. I think he still got like a 73% knockout ratio at this point with all of the guns that he's faced. Now Virgil has moved up from 40 to 47 to 54, and he had his weight problems. He had his weight issues. He faced a couple killers. He faced Egas, Kalvanakis, you know what I'm saying, who's a puncher. He faced Maurice Hooker. I wouldn't say Maurice is so much of a puncher. He's more like I would consider he was probably like a boxer puncher. But reason why Virgil had got into my boxers to watch a long time ago is because he's a relentless body puncher. He's gonna go to your body and he's gonna come bring that pressure. Now he's one of them ones to where he will do this. He will almost do like what Tim Tszyu do, where he'll do the same thing over and over. So if you got a high IQ and you can make adjustments, you can get him. And I think that's where Bodywork got him, because he kept doing the same thing and Bodywork was able to drop him twice. So if you have an IQ and you can recognize what he's going to do, you can capitalize on it. And I think Lubin has the high enough boxing IQ. My question is, where Lubin makes me nervous at is because sometimes he don't let his hands go. He'll come out in the first couple rounds and he'll look crispy as hell, and then it'll be rinse, wash, and repeat. He'll start doing the same thing over and over again. He'll have a little bit of success, or he'll find himself, I guess sometimes he might be thinking that he's up a little bit. And that's my only concern, is that he cannot afford to get in this fight and not let his hands go against Virgil. You know what I'm saying? So with those things added, what I told y'all about how this is the WBC eliminator, this will put him next in line for Fundora, right? To get his get back and to get his title shot and to put him back in position to be able to fight Jermell Charlo again, because he want to avenge his loss. So this means more to Lubin than I think it does to Virgil. So what is like with those things added, the fact that he fought 7 undefeated fighters in his career, he's fought 7 one-loss fighters in his career, and this is his 3rd fighter that he's fighting that's undefeated in a row. What y'all think?
No, I mean those are great stat numbers and shit like that. So it's I'm not even gonna say kinda. If you look at those stats on face value, like we say, does X, Y, and Z, how does it look on paper? It's a great matchup because the potentials, but on paper, it actually looks like Lubin should win this fight. Maybe by a split decision, maybe by a majority decision, but it looks like he on paper should win this fight. Being the guy with the better dimensions, having faced a little bit better opposition, have gone through just a straight series of facing tough guys, and then his stint at Pro Box, I think only going to make him sharper to where he understands certain things, because that Pro Box experience is something that if you're good at what you do and you understand the business of it and you turn that corner to understand the business of it, you'll say, this was a great experience, but I don't never want to do this shit again. I don't ever want to be put in this position to whereas I have to go to a company like this at this early stage of their development to actually get back in the game. Now, I don't know where Pro Box is going to land and how much they develop, but I honestly believe that Pro Box experience is the type of thing that he's like, yeah, it's really, really good, but I don't want to go back there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, I agree with you, AC. I just when you look at everything on paper, it looks like the perfect opportunity for Lubin to, get back up on his feet. But man, we'll see. We'll see, man. This fight should bring lights, camera, and action, man. And
it's your lose it moment, Lubin. Like, I think you've been in the audience enough where you always hear us say, Lubin is at his Eminem moment. You feel what I'm saying? You got to lose yourself in this moment, because this is key to where you really need to be at this stage of your career, because anything less, you might easily fall into gatekeeper category, journeyman category, the guy that they're going to test all their new fighters with. And not champions.
And that division, you don't want to be the gatekeeper, or you don't want to be the litmus test at 154, because that's where Goucher is at. If you look at Terrell Goucher, that's what they've been kind of using as the Goucher, and it's rough because you can win and still not get denied. Like when he beat that dude Garcia, when Goucher he beat Garcia and he didn't even get denied. I'm like, what? I was mad about that.
Bro,
and I'm not even the big.
I was just gonna say real quick, quiet as kept. I think we just saw the new inductee into that category in Brian Adams. Even though he beat Boachuk, that shit resonated with I mean not Boachuk. Boachuk. That shit resonated with nobody. So
that is kind of messed up, man. Like I don't know, man.
I think he's the newest inductee. I'm just saying that he looked like a prime candidate for it for me. You're a tough out. You don't have a big name. Nobody's really interested in putting money in you, and you just had a very, very impressive win for the second time in a row, which puts more emphasis on that Vergil win over Boachuk. But you beat that man clearly twice, and nobody's saying, yeah, we want to see Vergil versus Brian Adams.
Yeah, he knocked him out the first time.
Yeah, so it's just like, yeesh. Yeah, bro. I don't know about your career, man. You I don't know. Maybe you gotta go to the next fight, jump out the stadium butt naked with a parachute to make people notice you. I don't know.
You crazy.
He'll be a tough gatekeeper though. That's a tough ass gatekeeper.
Yeah.
And I like him because he do body work. I just don't know what he's missing. I guess because he can't. I guess it's like he gets stuck at a gear. He got a couple gears. He got, he's durable. He's tough. I guess he don't got that.
I think what struck him, you know what? I think what struck him, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm just gonna be honest. No shade, no funny. I think what struck him is, honestly, no shade, Charlo. I think that he fought him too soon in his career, and I think that fight, kind of like he got a nice paycheck. You said what?
Talking about Lubin. You talking
about?
We
was talking about Bryan Adams.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah, but one of the Charlos did fight him. I think it was Maul. I think Maul did fight him though. Maul did fight Brandon Adams early. He beat him early though. That was years ago, but he didn't.
But dude, that's because they didn't have nobody to fight. But these guys didn't have nobody to fight. How how Top Rank can just come up with somebody for you, not to say that like that, but it's just crazy though. Like these guys didn't have nobody to fight, so they had to fight each other.
It's just crazy for me that that was something that just completely took me by surprise. The fact that and it was like the really small channels who was congratulating Adams for his win and saying, yo, this dude is the goods. He, I don't know why he ain't getting no movement like that. But for the majority major YouTube channels, boxing people, they just completely skipped over Bryan Adams and Brendan Adams and only talking about the potential fight with Boots and Vergil and not saying, okay, why doesn't this make more sense right now?
Well, this was should have happened because look, this was what said. It was said that Boots' first choice was to fight Boychuk, but Boychuk said no because he wanted to be on the Canelo and Bud undercard. But I also gotta think that much like Lubin want to get his get back with Fundora, he wanted to get his get back with Brandon Adams. So I'm wondering if Boychuk sat back and watched it, would he have wanted to fight Boots? Or go ahead and go and get that Brandon Adams smoke again, because that's what they said. They said, that's what the streets be saying. The streets be saying Boots' first offer was for Boychuk, and he was like, nah, because he wanted to fight on that Canelo undercard.
Yeah, I heard that same thing. It was like, yeah, he wanted to be on Canelo Bud undercard and that was for Bryan Adams, right? Brendan Adams?
Yeah, Brandon Adams, yeah.
Yeah, and I think they was even mentioning stuff like that, during the fight. I think the commentators was talking about it like, yeah, he had an opportunity to fight Boots, but he turned it down because and the way they said it, they said he wanted his get back over Brendan Adams, and it was like, they were saying, it looks like that might have been a bad decision because it's not looking like he's going to win this fight.
Yeah, and it just leaves questions too, because I don't want to go in the Boots go on the Boots track on the Boots path, but like, you remember when I read that article earlier? Basically, the article said that PBC had all of the 154 pounders. So I'm like, that's why I be questioning. It's like, but I can't even ask questions without it sound like I'm hating. I'm like, why'd you go over to Matchroom when all of the 154 pounders was over there in PBC for the last 4 years, especially if you knew that's what you was gonna be. I don't know, man, but I don't. It's kind of wild how they did Conwell, like, because that's how Xander wound up getting it by the guy who come out, and basically have a great night at the office, and Charles Conwell have a bad night at the office. and then they circumvent all that hard work Conwell had did, and then next thing you know, that fight wound up being a title, like for a title.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how Xander get the belt. And Conwell is never mentioned as one of these guys. They always say, "Oh, we made him an offer," but it's something to where it's like it's basically a take it or leave it. And the state of boxing now is like when you get a low ball offer, you're gonna have to really like consider like taking it now, because that's just the way you gotta, like, it's sad enough, you gotta know your worth, but they gotta start thinking about taking some of these offers, man, because that's how a lot of people are getting weeded out. But if you win, that's the thing, you might be able to get something, because Conwell is out, Brandon Adams, because he had a bad night at the office. Brandon Adams, nobody talking about him. But those are legit fighters. Like, those guys will give anybody at 154 problems. Anybody. With a proper camp, you know what I'm saying? A proper camp, a decent paycheck. Those guys will give anybody problems at 154 pounds.
I wouldn't even mind seeing a fight between both of them.
They might be the answer to it. That's wow.
That might be the answer to both their problems.
So if I was them, I would think about getting with Jake. You know what I'm saying? MVP, because he been signing some guys. Them and Conwell, he's from Ohio. You know, so that might be his end, because some of them guys Jake got is kind of shaky. You know what I'm saying? But he know how to promote. I'll give him that. He know how to promote.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with the money that they would make from a Jake Paul fight, I think they would definitely agree to that fight. So for me, it's the spaces and places are actually there. If Lubin should win it, if Lubin should lose this fight, where do you think Lubin winds up at? Do you think he stays with them, or he goes over and tries to connect with Jake Paul?
I think Lubin, take a little mini break and then, have to work his way back up, honestly.
Sadly enough,
if he tries that Jake Paul shit, I don't think that's gonna work out.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think so either. You know what I'm saying? I think that sadly enough, man, because Lubin is he's a tough guy.
He is, man.
How Lubin is, like, he don't even, like, they asked him about Boots and he was like, nah, I'm not gonna bail Boots out. What has he done? He ain't even fought nobody, man. Like, tell him go fight somebody. Like, like those guys, like the powers that be, they don't want to hear that kind of shit. Like, Lubin is a blue collar guy. He's a tough out. And unfortunately, if he lose this fight, that's the other thing I was going to bring up. This is a must win. I think this is a must. It's sad that it's like that, because just think about it. Hear me out. Just think about it. When it comes down to people like Vergil Ortiz, they got a fan base. He got a fan base to where they're gonna be right back at it. And this is why I don't know. This is why I hate when people on YouTube be crying and acting like they don't realize this. Those guys like, cause think about the Mexican Pinata, Pitbull. If he lose, they're gonna be right back out, and they're gonna want to see him fight somebody else. If they tough or not or whatever, they're gonna be right behind him saying, "No, give Pitbull a shot. We want to see you against Pitbull." They're gonna be. But with us, when we lose, there's so much competition. It's like you gone. Like, people want to look over you. We just gave the examples of Conwell having a bad night at the office. We just gave an example of Brandon Adams having an excellent night at the office on the biggest card like this year. On the biggest undercard this year of the biggest fight this year, and look at it. It's just a stark reality to where we be getting put in these positions where we gotta show up. We gotta get the knockout. Like it might be different if Brandon Adams would have knocked his ass out again on that stage, he probably would have got a fight. They would probably already been buzzing him. But the reality of it is, if Lubin loses this fight, one, it's going to be tougher for him to get a fight. They're going to send him through the ring, or they're probably going to relegate him or try to relegate him to being the gatekeeper. And he's had the harder career. He's had the tougher career. His resume is better. You know what I'm saying? He's durable. He's tenured. You know, and that's just the stark reality. So when it's coming down, it might seem like we be a little bit more passive when it comes, because I said the other day that it's a double standard when it comes to Boots. It is a double standard when it comes to Boots versus Vergil. Like, people expect more out of Boots. That's just this fan base. That's why I hate when other content creators act like we be like dragging down or being crabs. It's like, no, that's how it is for us. That's just how it is. Charles Barkley said it. I put it in some of my intros. That's just how it is for us in this, especially with the media and how we're painted and all that. And we don't have we have a fan base to where if you don't fight whoever the fuck they want you to fight, or you get a draw, or you don't fight in the style that they want, they're gonna ban it. They're gonna make it a point to say we don't want to see you. Other fan bases don't do that. That's why the Australians can have their Australians. The people, the Philippines, the people from Philippines, Manny Pacquiao got face planted. Nobody ever brings that shit up. Errol Spence came in and it got stopped, and they want this nigga to retire. Jermell Charlo went up and got outpointed. He didn't get stopped. He jumped up 2 weight classes. He didn't get stopped. They want this nigga to retire, and he don't even deserve Bud. He don't deserve Boots. He don't deserve shit. That's our fan base. I was trying to tell Bold that one day when I was over there on Smoke Channel. I was trying to tell Bold, I'm like, yeah, we be complaining about certain things and why certain fighters get certain things, and we don't realize that our fan base is not as forgiving. Our fan base demands more. Our fan base will sit around and pit 2 black people against each other and try to figure out the who's who. That's just how it is. Like this. Like, think about where you at in New York, AC. Think about how it is in the food industry. Think about how it is in the fight game. Like, think about how it is in anything where per capita, where it's like, I'm in DC, you up there in New York. Well, I'm in, let's say Baltimore. Same thing, right? Think about per capita, how hard it is competing against the next black man. How much more talent? Because where I'm from, you couldn't have just dribbled a basketball. You had to be able to throw a football, dribble a basketball, know how to fight, know how to swim, know how to play soccer, smack a baseball, know something about, like, you know what I'm saying? You had to be like decent in all of them. You might be great in one, but just putting all your eggs to try to be a basketball player, more than likely you ain't gonna make it. It's too many people.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And that's how it is in boxing for us. And with us, that's why I asked that question about the media earlier. And that's why I said, like, what I said about the media and how much are they responsible, you know what I'm saying, for it. So in the grand scheme of things, I think that it's more pressure on Erickson and Lubin, even though it shouldn't be. We should recognize Lubin for everything he's put in his career, how hard he worked, and the things he had to go through, and he done it all like a soldier. But the stark reality is, the way that Mexican fan base is, and then the affiliation with being one of Robert Garcia fighters, and then being on Golden Boy with Oscar, he's gonna get another opportunity. Think about it. He got the nod against Boychuk, and Boychuk dropped him twice.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, you know, it's
salute Hill and Honey, salute Aaron Jones. I'm sorry, go ahead, Izzy.
To me, that's a reality that I just wind up accepting right now, looking at people with tremendous fan bases and saying, okay, you got the fan base which generates the money behind you because they're playing to the commodity you are, and that commodity comes with people who are definitely gonna view your fights. So we can we see we can make big fights with you without putting in a ton of money for promotions. When you look at the Riyadh season first set of promotions with those clever videos and all of that other stuff, you could see there was a lot of money thrown at those things because they were unique as fuck. When you're looking at what's going on as far as the money spent, because now they're putting on cards that, you know, you're looking at people you don't have to try to promote as much around the world, and now everyone's settled in at saying, okay, a Riyadh card is going to look like this. They looked at that blueprint and said, okay, now we can pull back the money when it comes down to some of these promotions. In fact, we don't even have to do those type of videos anymore. We just have posters, we drop a little video of somebody talking some shit here and there, and we use the whole free platforms that social media allows us to use to promote the fight. So, okay, that's a thing that's real. And if you have that social media following and there's a whole country behind you or a whole demographic behind you, then yes, shit works. When we look at, you know, just by example, looking at the Bud effect, we saw that, yeah, there's a hell of a lot of talent right there, but right now you couldn't sell a 25 cup of lemonade to a motherfucker dying of thirst. So it's just like, bro, certain events had to happen and you realized your stardom, and people, you know, probably within his closest inner circle was like, nah, bro, you a star right now. Own the shit out of that. Because he just may be that humble personality that's just like, yeah, I don't really want to do that because I'm not good at it yet. But they're like, it doesn't matter. You're the it guy. Just be genuine and you'll sell yourself. And you see along the way he's made some mistakes by certain things he said and things like that. But overall, you know, a person like Boachuk, a person like Charles Conwell, Brendan Adams, you know, these guys do not have the machine behind you. You're not bringing a fan base with you. When you talk about people and they mention Charles Conwell, they're like, who? It was only a small handful of people that was like, yo, Charles Conwell right now is the goods. He's showing us and then you go out there and get that performance to an already audience that don't really know who you are. You're done. You are done. And then those people who finally saw you based on the fact that they were hearing that, oh, this dude was supposed to be whatever, and then they see that performance like, what the fuck was these dudes talking about? This dude is trash. Again, you're done. The same thing we could say about Lubin. Lubin is Lubin is this and that, and Lubin. But if he go ahead and loses this fight, me personally, it makes it hard for me to see how he climbs back up that ladder unless it's a clear robbery.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, man, it's you know, if because think about it, what Bodywork did. If Bodywork did that and he still lost, with the fact that it's so much and the powers that be, the writers on the wall, the powers that be want to see Boots and Vergil. That's what's been talked about because of the history at welterweight, and all of that. That's why I don't understand why people act dumb, because at welterweight they try to Mandela effect this shit to where it was an offer for Boots to fight when he was down there at 147. He said, nah, I want to get undisputed down here. So he didn't do it at that time. Some time went by, he went ahead and did the Marta Stanyanis, and then he jumps up and saying, hey, what's up? And they saying, nah, like, we thought you was down there getting undisputed. And so now people, they try to say, oh, well, Vergil and them ducking. I'm like, no, bro, like, they offered you, like, they mind fucked us once again with that shit, because he could have been got up there and got the Vergil. But now that he's entered, now in the whole boxing world and social media has already, like, whet the appetite to everybody to see Boots versus Vergil. So if long story short, in this fight, if it's close and it's not like absolutely distinguishable, like Lubin cannot have a fight like he had with Jesus Ramos because they want to give it to Vergil. Lubin cannot have a fight like Vergil had with Bodywork, or they want to give it to Vergil. That's just a sad reality. I hope Lubin understand that, and it's crazy that I'm saying that. But because he's going to be coming, bringing the fight, he's going to be bringing the pressure, so they're going to give the fighting style automatically, even if it's not effective aggression, it's going to be aggression. You know what I'm saying? Will he be effective at times? Maybe. He's a relentless body puncher, and Vergil's one of my guys. I'm just speaking like 100% boxing talk right now. Yeah, the stakes are high for Lubin because back up against the wall, he has to have a sensational performance. Because the powers that be have already set the groundwork for this Boots and Vergil shit. And we don't even know if we're going to get it. That's the thing. Because this is the eliminator for the... I had to keep reminding people. This is the eliminator for the WBC, which is Pandora's belt.
Now,
this don't have nothing to do with Boots.
Yeah, the crazy thing for me is if I was in Lubin's camp in Lubin's shoes... my mindset would be the minute I step in the ring, I'm 7 rounds down. Like I gotta make the next 7 rounds flawless victories. We on Mortal Kombat. I need to hit the full 10-punch combination, need to slide, throw my throwable, the whole fucking 9 yards. Because the writing is just, it's on the wall. It's literally, in my opinion, written in stone. Whenever that fight happens, it happens, but they're already trying to build, the Boots versus Vergil fight as the, as the reincarnation, the next coming of Jesus and shit like that, the rapture. The whole fucking 9 yards. So it's just crazy that, okay, I see you guys want this thing to be generated organically between these two fighters and stuff like that, because for all this energy you guys are calling at 54 for this thing to happen, why wasn't none of that energy there for, to this degree? Where was that energy when they was both at 47 and both of them was healthy? Oh, this and that. Oh, y'all Russian Boots and blah, 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 and this and that. And if you ask any Latino fan at the time, they was basically saying Vergil would wash Boots at 47. You feel what I'm saying? So my whole thing is, where was that energy? But now they're both, they're both at 54 and stuff like that. Is Vergil versus Boots a super fight? Not in my opinion. And when I look at the writing on the wall, these two dudes for right now are playing on this internet talk and everything and this potential thing, to boost their careers and make people think, at some point, like we discussed yesterday, if I hold this thing out here, like, I'm trying to set everything up for a Vergil fight, and if I don't get the Vergil fight, then, I'm keeping Terrence Crawford's name out there because I'm looking for that big fight after Vergil. You completely eliminate any talking points of you facing any other tough competition because people are going to automatically say that makes no sense when he's trying to fight Vergil. And after Vergil, he's supposed to be trying to fight Terrence Crawford. At least that's the way they camp talking. Wow. So they done, sold you that bridge, and you actually went to the bank and took a loan out to buy that bridge with no deed. So you just basically gonna give your money to the con man. that shit is crazy right there. So for me, it's just like I don't really want to get in moving forward. For me, it's like if I'm on another panel and dudes is trying to talk about Virgil versus Boots, I'm gonna just be like, bro, listen, these two dudes ain't looking to fight each other no time soon. Because when you listen to the schedule of Eddie doesn't, he's mentioning him, but nobody's saying anything, and that's a cross promotion thing. And where Virgil is and where Boots is, what lines them up for a fight? What really?
Yeah, because like realistically, you got to ask yourself. Salute Thomas Hill. Salute my man. Salute, man. Appreciate you always dropping
Thomas
on this, man. But you got to ask yourself, okay, this is what I be trying to say when people be talking that boxing shit, and then when you threaten to come over there and kick their ball over the fence and shit, they don't want to talk about it no more. These are the points that I be trying to make. But let's buckle down for a second and think about this. Lubin and Vergil are getting ready to fight for the WBC interim. Once you have an interim title, then that's what links you to the major title. Like that's what links you to it. Are you ever how often do you see people having an interim and then fighting somebody ranked somewhere else in line for another belt? Like, because once you get an interim, I don't think you have to fight an eliminator. Like that's what this is. Like I think this is for the interim.
Yeah.
So with Fundora being that guy, that's the line. And then you got this is the elephant in the room. And this is what a lot of people are going like they're gonna shit the bed when I say this. There's always been this talk with Errol Spence about Errol Spence and Vergil Ortiz, which would be a much bigger fight. Like down there in Texas, where they from. I mean, you talk about money, you talking about Errol Spence return, you talk about the green print, you talking about all of that. So we can get carried away with the whole Boots Vergil stuff if you want. But what was that didn't Boots just fight for what? He fought for the WBA, right?
Yep.
Okay, who had the WBA? Abbas.
Yeah, Abbas.
So I don't really, I'm not gonna get caught up with it, man. And then this the other question. Which Golden Boy Oscar De La Hoya fighter, like of marquee or of note, which one of those guys have fought in somebody that we wanted them to fight or somebody that the public demanded right away anyway? When you think about how long it was for Ryan to get off the pot, how long was that? How long was it for? How long was it? Like how long is it for Vergil? Like Vergil started getting some people. Vergil got some people now at 54. He got the margin off and all that after his health issues, but we didn't get the Stanyanis fight 3 times. 3 times we were supposed to get Vergil and Stanyanis. We didn't get it. When you talk about Williams and Payton, we didn't get Williams and Payton and Shakur Stevenson right off the rip. And none of these guys are on the same promotional company. So you talking about being in different lines sanctioning body wise, different lines promotional company wise. It's like people just be, oh man, you hating and you just want. No, it's like I'm being logical. You in a different line sanctioning body wise. You in a different company promotional wise. How the fuck is this gonna work?
Yeah. So it's funny because when you hear some fans say, well, the fight will be bigger and better if they both have a belt. And then you hear this other set of fans say, oh, you just co-signing one of the fighters, as ducking. And I was like, what? Wait a minute. If they're both interim champions, they both get their interim championship spot. you can't unify interim champion belt. You're gonna have to, if you fight, you win. You're going to have to lose your place in one of those jump offs. So most from what I've seen, this is why you don't get an interim champion versus an interim champion, unless it's some weird ass circumstance or whatever. But other than that, how does that work to the person that win? Are you a unified interim champion? You feel what I'm saying? And every sanctioning body's like, no, we don't do that. So it makes sense when you hear people say, you know, yeah, that fight's not happening until they both have a belt. But then you hear one of the goofy fans that'll say one of these guys is ducking each other over that situation. And it's like, I can't subscribe to me actually saying that Boots is ducking Vergil because of this situation, and I can't subscribe to me saying Vergil is ducking Boots because of this situation. It's just the way this thing is set up. It's not going to happen. So at least it's not going to happen anytime soon. So, you know, I don't even know if they actually do fight at 54. You feel what I'm saying? I don't know if they really do fight at 54 because, again, we might see or might start to hear rumblings of, you know, Boots having issues with making weight.
Yeah, by the time the stars align, and then you at 54, we're on any given night. Like 54 is just how 40 is. We're on any given night. You fuck around and make the wrong matchup as a matchmaker. It ain't gonna be no fight. Because somebody's cachet is gonna be blown to smithereens. Like if just think, if Lubin go in there and put hands and feet on Vergil, what happened? What's gonna happen? They're gonna say, oh no, and then you gotta think the competition that Vergil went through and the competition that Lubin went through ain't the same competition as Boots. Boots going by, like Boots going over, he going down to Jiffy Lube. These motherfuckers is getting out there on that, you know what I'm saying? They like, you know, they going to the dealership. Like, think about it. Well, look at Lubin is on his third undefeated fighter, bro.
Yeah.
I ain't talking about like nobody that we don't know or nothing like that. He's on his third undefeated fighter. And then the guy, Ardrell Holmes, we know him, but he fought Jesus Ramos. And he's fighting Vergil. You know, Boots is going to have fought, if it goes the way I think it's going to go, he would have fought Usman Lima and Abbas, who fought Yoenis Tellez. He could have just fought Yoenis Tellez. Like, he could have just got to deal with, like, I mean, he could have just fought Yoenis Tellez. I don't know why that didn't happen. Yeah. But, like, if Lubin fuck around and put hands and feet on Vergil, one, he gonna even be more battle tested, like battle worn. And then, shit, he gonna have to go through, he gonna have to fight Fundora. Who knows what happens with that?
Yeah.
And I don't think for the life of me they will not have Vergil Ortiz go stand in line to go fight an eliminator against a tough guy like Lubin to get in line for Fundora and then risk the biscuit against Boots. That don't even sound like nothing Oscar would do. Yeah. And I keep going back to him in the conversation he was having with, look at what he's doing with prime example, Schofield. How he was talking about Schofield. He didn't want Schofield to do that thing with Shakur.
Yep.
And no wonder he got tapped on the shoulder. Right. He was actively, he was like, no, we got plenty of time because they know they in that line for Tank. They in the Tank sweepstakes. They like number one in the Tank sweepstakes line. So how was he managing him? He got him to fight Kevin after the wars. There was no talk about him and Zepeda. And who was he getting ready to fight now? It's going to be him and JoJo. Look at how he's moving him. He's not putting him at risk the biscuit for the WBA, and he's in line for the WBA. The writing's on the wall.
The crazy thing is, I would not be surprised, and I might be putting something out there that I'm not even sure of. I wasn't the fly on the wall, but looking at what Tank just did, I think Schofield versus Jojo Diaz might be for a vacant title, and you figure out how that shit aged.
It might have been.
Yo,
You
I
know,
mean that shit is like really making a lot of sense right now.
Yeah, because Schofield kept saying Tank is going to retire like his father. You know what I'm saying? He kept saying Tank is retiring. You know,
Yeah, all they had to do was do what Boots did and just wait this shit out. What Boots and Stanionis did, just wait this shit out. I'm young enough. I got time on my side.
That's the state of boxing, though, AC. Ain't it wild that that's what people are doing to get a belt? It used to be, oh, you the baddest motherfucker. All right, well, come see me. Right after school, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you when that bell ring. Now it's like, no, you left. You didn't want no smoke. Everybody else said you didn't want to see me.
I'm going to the guidance counselor, and the guidance counselor gonna let me go 15 minutes early before the final bell ring. So I'll be home sitting on my couch with a bowl of cereal and milk, watching whatever I watch on the afternoon while everybody standing around waiting for me, thinking I'm coming out that building. For real, bro. I'm just like, man, once that shit registered in my mind that, hey, wait a minute, Tank just put on all of this weight and we asking what's going back. And then when you look at the state of that division right now that Shakur is gone, Keyshawn gone, Abdullah Mason is left, Floyd Schofield is left, Loma's gone. You feel what I'm saying? You got more Tyler, Zepeda, easily beatable guys. You feel what I'm saying for some of the competition that's left, especially maybe a Abdullah Mason once he get his belt, and if he has a super impressive victory against Sam Nooks. I can see them if Zepeda or one of them dudes is lined up in that sanctioning body. I could see them making a fight with more Tyler or Zepeda or somebody like that. You feel what I'm saying? We was even calling for what is this dude named? Something Kelly. Is it Kelly? Is that his last name? The tall dude.
Bill?
Bill? Yeah. We I think you've heard me say I think that would be a great first title defense for Abdullah Mason, if he should get past Sam Nooks, because he's a really tough out. He's a guy that, wants Albert Bell. He wants his opportunity and stuff like that. In a big fight with Abdullah as a title defense, that shit is a hell of a fight. Schofield will probably get, Schofield may get the Morataya fight. I mean, the Morataya unification if he gets that belt, or maybe what's the name will go for it. But at the end of the day, that division 35 right now, it's a toss-up on who takes that division, although there's a clear front runner, but there's a toss-up on who takes that division, because all the old veterans that we were calling nice, the former kings and all of that, they're all gone. Right now, the snapshot says none of them are there. This division is left for these new dudes. So to me, looking at that, that's like, I've seen Stranger Things. We've seen fights that were supposed to be X, Y, and Z for Rolly versus the old dude, and then that turned into a championship fight that gave Rolly a belt. So I would not be surprised if that's what's going to happen, between this Jojo Diaz and what's the name fight. And I think they could easily call Tank and say, listen, are you looking to come back down to 35? What about your belt? Tank don't give a fuck about that belt anyway. He like, yo, I didn't want that shit anyway. Y'all made me an email champ. Take your fucking belt. A lot of that shit makes sense to me.
Yeah, you might have you might be on to something, man. You might be on to something. That belt might get up for grabs.
Yeah, bro.
And I still don't doubt, even though they said Loma, we confirmed that false report, like that it was just cannon fodder, but I'm still not convinced that Loma ain't just waiting. Like Loma gonna let a little bit of time come by, because if Pacquiao still popping out, Loma don't even got a long career. He got a long amateur career when he was in there beating up on them teenagers. You know what I'm saying, for all that time, but like career wise, this man don't even got 20 fights yet. So I still think he just waiting around, like waiting for some smoke to clear, and he gonna pop out and try to. I still think that shit don't just go away like that.
Yeah,
His heart was broken because of the decision with the Devin shit. He came back and he fought Cambosis, and then he looked at the landscape and was like, I'm not ready to get my lights put out. Like all them niggas looked at Tank and was like, I'm not ready for my career to take that hard left turn right now.
yeah.
Let me go do something else. And so they might have successfully waited Tank out.
Yeah.
They might have played hardball and was like, nah, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's looking weird. It's looking weird down there now.
Yeah. Does Andy Cruz have a fight coming up with anybody? Because I think the Mortada fight is off.
I think they got to negotiate. I think they got a month. I think they had a month. I thought they had a month, but I was hearing that he already turned down $2 million. I think he turned down $2 million. And that's the other thing, AC. I do not understand this era, because Moritalia turns down $2 million. And then I think he tried to come back in Turkey and them was like, nah, it's like that's over. It's the wrap on that. Like we not. If something happens, it's gonna go down. So then they started saying Moritalia gonna go ahead and move up. I think he think about moving up out of 35. I'm like, that's dumb as hell. But then when you mentioned Schofield turned down $1 million to fight Mason. And I'm like, and the whole thing was, they're young and they can do. I'm like, man, bro, like, so stop with all that old, like, y'all like there are throwbacks and y'all the best, and this, because like, no way you could turn down $1 million, bro, to fight one of your contenders. That never even happened, but that was justified in doing that.
Yeah, because he got the Tevin Farmer fight, and then how that fight turns out. I don't ever remember seeing Abdullah Mason in the same sanctioning body as Floyd Schofield. You feel what I'm saying? Because he's pretty much either been in the IBF or WBA. I remember, I think Abdullah was in the WBC and the WBO. I'm not sure if he was in the WBA, but at the end of the day, I just feel like this. All right, if Moritalia talking about moving up to 140, I guess we're gonna hear that in about 25 days or so. You feel what I'm saying? Which then leaves maybe Andy Cruz probably versus Messiah, or Lucas Body, or Albert Bell. That's like that rounded off the top five, because the number 2 slot is vacant, and Floyd Schofield is looking to face Jojo Diaz.
Is Ashton Silva anywhere in there? H2O, Ashton Silva, the guy who Lucas Body knocked out. You see Silva in there?
No, he's not even ranked, at least for the IBF.
I think that might be the WBA line though. I think he was in a WBA line.
Okay.
Cause that's the line with Body at. Body is high in that WBA too, ain't he?
Lucas Body?
Yeah,
Yeah, Lucas Body is ranked number 2, but
yeah, yeah.
H2O
Actually, yeah.
H2O is not here.
Okay.
Honestly, I am not seeing him anywhere ranked in the top 15 of any of the sanctioning bodies.
Yeah, we gotta do that deep dive. We gotta do that deep dive on the 35 because we did a little fun. We had a little fun with the Gary's coming joint, but we didn't really do the deep dive. So that's something we
Yeah,
gotta do in the next couple of days, man, or next week maybe.
yeah, because here's the thing, man. The WBC is looking open, the WBA is looking open, and the IBF, it's a possibility it may open up. And that all depends on what more Tyler is going to do. But with Shakur and Tank, you know, Tank is already in the efforts of putting on weight and moving up and stuff like that. And Shakur is just telling us about a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know where he lands because the number 1 slot right there, and he's not mentioning this guy's name at all, is Andy Cruz for a title defense. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of 35 is looking wide open right now. It's just that division is just looking like, you know, it's going through renovations. They done knocked down a couple of walls. You know what I'm saying? They're adding new framing and shit like that. So it's dusty in there. It's a lot of shit on the floor, and they just got to clean it up and, you know, put these walls in. And, you know, we got to see how this renovation is gonna look. So yeah, 35 is looking crazy, and it would definitely be a good idea to do a deep dive into 35 because there's some shit look like it's going on over there or down there.
But it's starting to make me seem like I'm just a tough ass because I can't look at Schofield and them. I'm like, yeah, you did that to Tevin Farmer. But like how you moving in that business shit, I mean, for your career it's good, but like what kind of champion are you gonna be? If you do shit like that on your way up to the top, once you get a belt, it's a wrap trying to get you to fight anybody we want. It's gonna be old motherfucker or somebody to come out. Yeah, I'm gonna give him a shot. It's just, you know,
they're gonna be asking for ridiculous amounts of money. Yeah, if you want to fight my son, hey, we want $6 million. We want $6 million if you want to fight my son. What, my son versus in a unification? Shit, we want $10 million for any unifications. Title defenses is $6 million. So yeah, it's gonna be.
I'm telling y'all, Floyd is the best fighter in the world.
Yeah, that shit's gonna be like, oh my fucking god, bruh. Get your dad, prima donna, pink flamingo wearing ass the fuck up out of here, and you take control of your career. Be smart, bruh. Right now, you probably worth 1 million, maybe 1.5. I'll give you the benefit of doubt now that you got a belt, maybe 2. Don't go over your market value. Show everybody you great and shit like that. Take on, you know, the Andy Cruzes and the Lucas Bodies and shit like that. I mean, you may have the punching power to actually knock these guys out.
Man, them hey, I'm gonna tell you like this, them motherfuckers better be very careful on how they move, because if they don't move right and they find themselves having to go to 40, oh my goodness. It's gonna be so treacherous at 40, man. That shit, if you thought 40 was treacherous then, 40 is about to be motherfucking cutthroat. 40 is about to be how they look at pro boxing in general, like the where that's about to really be the dungeon.
Yeah, gladiator school.
You got people like Frank Martin. You got people like Frank Martin at 40. I'm thinking Edwin De La Santos gonna be at 40. Keyshawn gonna be at 40. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, unless these guys just gonna jump up the welterweight and try to go get busy, but 140 is getting ready to be like wicked. Like, It's already crazy. It's about to be wicked. So, but yeah, we're gonna do that deep dive on 135. But yeah, man, I think this was a good cook, man.
Oh, for sure, bro. Oh, for sure. I mean, we got at it with this one, man. 54 again is getting to, you know, to the level of what 40 is. I think 40 is a tougher division. If anybody was to ask me right off the bat, what division you think is the toughest in boxing right now, I'd probably say hands down, I think it's 140, and after 140, it'll probably be 130, and then I'm gonna say 154. Because 154, the only reason why I'm shifting them down is because you got some hella talent there, but you know, dudes is trying to maneuver. You really trying to maneuver through shark infested waters, and it's like, why? You a shark just like they are. I've seen sharks eat other sharks. So I don't know. Maybe there's a smell in the water or something like that y'all don't want to attack each other, but for the simple fact that y'all not really getting at each other, there's just little verbal spats and beefs and shit like that. Maybe that might be the quiet before the storm. Before everybody like, nah, I ain't going out like that. Y'all dudes is, you know, I'm looking to fuck everybody up. Maybe somebody will take the lead and get on that type of time. I don't know. Maybe it might be Boots. Maybe maybe it's Lubin. Maybe Lubin will go in there and just spark everything, and he's like, no, fuck that. I'm, you know, Bakram, I got a belt now. Now I wanna, you know, I'm here at this intern shit. Let me handle Sebastian Fundora. Then I'll unify with you, and then I'm looking for Mel Charlo. So Lubin might be that guy, but right now, outside of Bakram, that's the only guy that's like, you know, for me, Lubin is the only one that's like really trying to take the division by the horn to a certain degree. But like I said, we have to, you know, it's still the shenanigans and fuckery of Erickson Lubin. We still got that sitcom, and we got that old footage of you, bro, in that sitcom wearing a dress and looking a little crazy out here.
Yeah, and to add to this, I think that shit that just happened with Fundora was strategic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's some we gonna see how this shit pan out and put the clock back on to everybody else, because now everybody gotta wait for that. Everybody gotta wait for that, man. They gotta wait for Thurman and Fundora. And then, you know, once that happened, then it's gonna be however long it's gonna take for them to get back in, and they, you know, you can't say no less than three months after that. So that was like a little, yeah, we're gonna do this move because we don't know how y'all moving, especially with this boot shit and how Eddie moving and how all those pieces are and what Jamel got going on. Like, I think it's crazy because we still haven't heard nothing from Earl. We don't know if he coming back at 60, if he gonna come back at 54. We don't know, but I know somehow they're gonna toss his ass in that equation somehow.
Yeah.
But Aaron Jones, yeah, I still want to see. I wouldn't mind Keyshawn and Gary, but I would love to see. I want to see Frank Martin in the mix, man, because I still think Frank Martin is underrated, and I want to see how he looked against this guy Barthélemy. But I think Frank Martin gonna be a surprise at 140. Like, that might be, he'll fuck around and be somebody that Tank gotta fight again, and that fight gonna be fireworks again. Like, it's gonna be, because Frank, I don't care what they said about Frank, man. Frank, he put up a good fight. I know he had me and my lady on the air drive seat, you know, so I was like, dang, like, I was like, man, Frank is fighting. Like, I was impressed up until he got sparked out. You know what I'm saying?
Up until that weight cut and all that muscle started to like work against him, I was like, whoa, Frank is put in like good hands on Tank right now. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, bro, all he got to be able to do is maintain that for 12 rounds. You feel what I'm saying? Without getting knocked out, he may have a chance to win this fight. You know, but it was definitely a good fight for as long as it lasted. And me personally, when that fight was over and all the talking points and even going into the fight, how skinny Frank Martin looked and shit like that, I think you could even ask Pop. I was a person that was saying, yo, Frank may be the guy that gives him his toughest fight and yada yada yada. And then when Pop showed me the picture of how Frank Martin actually looked, I was like, God damn. But I want to see him at 140 because I think he might. I think he's going to be a serious problem for a lot of guys at 140. He's crafty, he's experienced, he's a good solid boxer. He has respectable power. You feel what I'm saying?
He's gonna have more power at 40. He's gonna have more power.
Yeah, and it's not like you killing yourself to make that weight, and with the type of body type you have and that muscle you carry, you know, it should be better for you during your rehydrations and things like that.
It just depends on if he still love the sport, because you can get some bread and be like, man, I'm out the hood. Like, I'm good. I hope
maybe a couple of investments that are gonna consistently pay off, bro. Slow money is for show money. So yeah, I don't know about this one.
But hey, Aaron Jones, yeah, I want to see Frank and Keyshawn. I think that need to happen because I wanted to see Keyshawn and Andy Cruz. But if he go to 40, I don't think Andy Cruz going to 40. I don't know if Andy ever going to touch 40. He might, but I think that's after he accomplished some shit at 35 and he decided to move up. He might go up there just for Keyshawn, but I want to see Frank Martin versus Keyshawn, and I want to see Gary Antoine versus Subriel because that still need to happen. Like those are the boogeyman, and I want to see Richardson Hitchens versus Tio. If in the perfect world, if everything was right and exact, that's really what would happen. Gary and Subriel, they would do their defenses with Gary defending against Harrioka, Subriel defending against that Dalton Smith, and then Gary and Subriel will fight. And in the interim, since Richardson Hitchens just got that belt, Richardson Hitchens will fight Teofimo Lopez. And that way, at least it'll be 2 and 2. Like it'll be two belts on one side, 2 belts on the other side. It'll be one fight left. So they both defend if they decide to put them belts up and defend them belts, and then they'll come together for one more. And that'll be it. We'll at least get a semblance of a undisputed at 140. And then somebody can, then they can move up and clash with the Brian Normans if he still got it, or if Devin upset the apple cart and pull it off. And that's the way it goes. But that's what I want to see. I want to see Keyshawn. I want to see him come back, but I don't want to see him with that Nair Albright stuff. I do not want to see that. That's a way out to me. And give Nair Albright give him another paycheck with a fight, but I don't want to see that shit with him and Keyshawn. Like, I want to see Keyshawn pick up right where he left off because they put him up there at that caliber, and I don't want to see this business of boxing shit where they do that stupid shit. You know what I'm saying, that they do. Because he wiggled out of that De Los Santos. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not forgetting that. We like that. The two things, like, that's why people be saying, man, oh, what's up with you and Keyshawn and you and Shakur? That whole, I wanted to see Shakur and Schofield, which was not Shakur's fault, but I wanted to see Shakur and Schofield, and I wanted to see Keyshawn and fucking De Los Santos. Yeah. I wanted to see them. I wanted to see Frank and Shakur. Ironically, in both of them fights, neither one of them was Shakur fought for real. But I mean, that's we didn't get to see him. But you don't get, because we didn't get to see him. It's like like it's not like you get an award for that shit. Like we didn't get to see it. It's like, okay, it wasn't your fault though. We can't blame you for it, but like there ain't no constellation for that. We didn't get to see nothing.
Yeah,
you got the benefit of the doubt. You got all of the clout, all of the debates and all of the conversations. We never got to see the fight. And then after that, you fought somebody that we didn't give a fuck about. I don't want to see Keyshawn do that. Where he fights somebody we don't give a fuck about coming up. Frank been out for a while, so I understand the Bartholomew, but then it's right back to, you know what I'm saying, the real smoke. Because, you know, that's how we see the best. When you fight the you know what I'm saying, the ones that are better, that's how we see better fights.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But at the end of the day,
you know, I can talk this boxing all night, man. You know.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, man. At the end of the day, it was a great cook. This one cook led to 2 more cooks, and I think that's where you're exploring things, you're making solid statements, and you're pointing out the facts that actually lead to, you know, other conversations that are a bit more in depth and things like that. And, you know, that's something I think I may have stumbled on, and I'm just gonna try to read the tea leaves about and see how that whole situation winds up panning out.
Yeah. But we'll put it together, man. You come up with anything, send it to me. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm gonna be shooting you the articles, and you know what I'm saying? We continue to do what we do.
Yeah, for sure. Great show, bro. On to the next one.
All right, man. Enjoy your evening. Well, there you have it, man. Another one in the books, man. I think that was a good little cook, man. It's right around the time that I like. Let me see. Yeah, it's right. It's a little over the time that I like, you know. But yeah, man, just food for thought, man. Just food for thought, man. Is this the year of the upsets? We talked about some upsets. We got a couple fights that might have upset implications, you know. And how much are we gonna blame the media for the quote unquote state of boxing? You know what I'm saying? And when is it okay to use the business of boxing to defend why we're not getting a fight? You know what I'm saying? Because I noticed that is, you know, that excuse works for some people, but it don't work for others. even when the sometimes it's being used, and it's like, well, dang, well, if it's the business and this involves like a big ass bag, like a big bag of money, then and it's totally wrong. It's like, well, how can the business of boxing justify us not getting a fight in other instances? But I digress, man. Thanks for everybody who came through, man. This is Fruits and Veggies, not that Reggie. That fact-based content, not opinion-based. Silence is consent is the motto for the channel, meaning that we speak to those things. All it takes for evil to prevail is for grown men and women to remain silent. So we speak to the things that might not be so right in boxing. We speak to the facts. We give truth. We put stakes in the ground. We put stuff in your rucksack so you can march on with. This is not McDonald's or 7-Eleven where we just come on every day and give you that shit that's gonna tear your stomach up if you eat it. You know what I'm saying? That shit that, you know, them chicken bites and them hot dogs that be having under the lights, that if you eat it, your stomach gonna be doing the Macarena. Nah, we give you something that you could chew on, something of substance, something that's going to nurture, something that you can walk with, a principle, something you can stand on in your boxing conversation. You know, anyways, I hope you got something out of it, man. That's our goal, man. Anyways, thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Bodywork.